He's Joey Mullins, and we are back after taking a week off there. We didn't pick the Final Four, but I'm pretty sure the picks that we was going to pick are in the championship game. We will talk about the national championship game coming up on Monday. Joey, man, how you doing after the past couple weeks, man? You doing all right?
I'm doing pretty good. Doing pretty good, man. Watching some sports. Ready for this national championship game. Can't wait for it.
Yeah, the national championship game should be a good one. I think it's going to be a little bit better than what the spread is there, but we'll see on that. What'd you think about the Final Four games? Penn State, Notre Dame, and Ohio State, and man, Texas. I was sitting thinking, who did they even play? Jack Sawyer.
Oh man, that's the greatest moment this year from a commentator. Nobody ain't never heard it. They have to go listen to it. But I mean, I would have thought Texas would have put up a better fight than that. I mean, like I was watching First Take this morning, and I back up what they said too. Ohio State, you're supposed to be here with the roster they got, the money it's costed them. I mean, Notre Dame, now that's a little bit of a surprise, but hey, they're here.
Yeah, and like Texas, they had a chance there. They were down a touchdown, getting ready to come in and score with a couple minutes left, and all of a sudden, Jack Sawyer comes in and rumbles, bumbles, stumbles down the sideline for 82-yard fumble return for a touchdown. So, I mean, they kept it kind of close there for a little bit, but Ohio State, I never felt was in danger in that game. I didn't.
No, I didn't either. Like I said, I thought Texas would, they didn't look like a normal Texas team that we've seen play all year. But yeah, could be Ohio. They're playing Ohio State. They're good. But I thought they'd put up a better fight than that.
And then on the other end, the other game, Penn State, Drew Aller, what are you doing? 40-some seconds left, and you throw that pass? It cost him the game.
It did. And I was like you. I didn't understand. Like when it happened, I was like, what are we doing? Well, somebody explained to me why they ran that kind of play with 40-some seconds left. Please.
And to make that throw, too, like, that wasn't even close to your guy. It's like you were throwing to the Notre Dame defender as your receiver, and your guy was playing defense. It's like, okay.
Boy, he read that really well.
Which is fine because, I mean, Penn State, I think that, James Franklin, I don't like James Franklin, and he always chokes in these big games, so it's fitting that they choke at the end like they did. But, I mean, you could have took that game into overtime right there. Instead, you give Notre Dame a shot, and Derek Jeter comes out and kicks a game-winning field goal. I know it's not Derek Jeter. It's his cousin Mitch, but still. Notre Dame gets the win there, and now we go to Monday night, man. We got the championship game. And I don't know about you, but I feel like Ohio State's been on a mission since losing to Michigan.
I do, too. I think their fan base is – I think that's the only way to get the fan base and everybody to forgive them for not beating Michigan is, hey, you better go out and win the daggone thing. So, but yeah, you're right. They've been on a mission.
Well, it's like they were wanting, Ryan Day's head on a platter, after losing to Michigan. And then they come in and they've rolled teams other than Texas. They played them kind of close, but they rolled Oregon. They rolled Tennessee. They beat Texas by 2 touchdowns ultimately, and they've got a real great shot of winning the national championship. My question is if they win this national championship, is Ryan Day off the hot seat, or are they still mad that he lost to Michigan? He brought you a championship. You got to think, but, I mean, Ohio State fans aren't the most sane people out there in the world.
No, and I think there's going to be a lot of people still holding against him, and I guess he'll be halfway in the hot seat. I mean, he brings home the natty, he'll be kind of sliding out of the seat a little bit, but I don't know. We'll see.
And, Notre Dame, on the other hand, like, nobody's ever liked Notre Dame unless you were, a Catholic, or whatever, or from there. And Ohio State's got me kind of rooting for Notre Dame in this game. It's weird because I would never have done that any other time, but it's Ohio State on the other end. And it's not – the team looks fun, exciting. They're fun to watch. It's just some of those fans, man, the Ohio State football fans are loud and obnoxious.
Yes, they are. And, like I said before, this win will mean a lot more to Notre Dame than it will Ohio State. Now, don't get me wrong, Ohio State's going to be happy if they win the championship, but,
Well, so since they went from the BCS thing to the 4-team playoff, the very first year they did the 4-team playoff, Ohio State won the championship. So now we're going from the 4-team playoff to the first time they're going to the 12-team playoff. Is this a trend here? Is Ohio State going to win the first ever 12-team playoff? It's looking that way. Notre Dame hasn't won a championship since 1988. That's a long time ago. They haven't won one in my lifetime. The year I was born. But
I was 3.
Yeah. So, and they've not. They've been to a couple championship games since. They played Alabama one year in the national championship and got just destroyed. And, other than that, they haven't been really relevant in the national championship scene. They haven't been a championship contender for a long time. But Monday night they play Ohio State, and we'll go ahead now with we'll get to our pick 'em right now. And it is the Ohio State Buckeyes, 7:30 on ESPN on the 20th. Face the number 7 Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Notre Dame will play the role of the home team because they have the higher seed in this game. Shocking. At the Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta, Georgia, Ohio State is an 8.5-point favorite. The over-under is 45.5. Joey, tickets are as low as $1,583 if anybody's interested. As low as. Who you got, Joey?
Well, I've got Ohio State. Winning the game. As far as from a picking standpoint, I do think Notre Dame will cover that spread, though. I do think I think where it's the championship game, there's going to be nerves both ways. It's they're going to start out probably, not the smoothest, where till everybody gets the nerves settled. And but yeah, I got Ohio State winning, Notre Dame to cover. And what's the 45.5? I'm going to give it. I'll say give me the over. Once Ohio State gets going, man, they can put up points in a hurry.
Yeah, and last week, everybody thought that the under was going to hit in the Penn State Notre Dame game, and they went over in that game. So if those two teams can go over, I feel pretty confident in the over in this game right here. Because like you said, Ohio State can put up points quickly. Notre Dame, they can put up a few points. Riley Leonard can run the ball pretty good. I don't think – some people were trying to compare him to Josh Allen. He's no Josh Allen. I can tell you that right now. Tony Romo's not going to go crazy over this guy on Sundays when he comes into the league. But I think that I think that they'll be able to do – I think they'll be able to run the ball a little bit on Ohio State. I don't think a whole lot because Ohio State's defense is pretty good too. But Ohio State's offense is going to be too much. Notre Dame has a good defense, but they haven't played Ohio State this season. I think Ohio State will win this game. I think Notre Dame will cover. I'm with you on that. I think it'll be about a touchdown game, but it's going to be a close game all the way through. I think that Ryan Day gets his redemption here, and Columbus, I guess, will forgive him for winning a national championship and losing to Michigan. I think that should outweigh beating your rival, right? Win a national championship.
I think it would for me as a fan. I don't know about some of the Ohio State fans, but
if Kentucky lost to Louisville in basketball and they go on to win a national championship, I don't care about that Louisville game. Who cares? Oh, you beat us in December. We won in March, so I don't care about that. So if I'm an Ohio State fan, I'm like, who cares? Michigan, you want bragging rights? Cool, that's fine. Where did you end up at the end of the season? Oh, in some bowl game that doesn't matter? Guess what? We're holding up the trophy. I mean, we're the champions. So hopefully that's all that matters at that point in time. So, but yeah, I'm going to go Ohio State as well. But I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a good game. But I think the Buckeyes ultimately raise the trophy, get the ring.
Unfortunately.
So that's our football. Oh, one more football thing here I want to mention real quick. I don't know if you noticed last week after the bowl games and stuff, it was announced that Curtis Rourke, the quarterback for Indiana, had played most of the season with a torn ACL. And it's like, man, that is crazy to think that he played the whole season with a torn ACL, and you get guys that are tearing ACLs that are out for a year. So it adds to, like, okay, this guy right here, he's got some toughness to him if he's willing to go out and play on a torn ACL all season long and still play as good as he did. I mean, Indiana had a great season. They made the college football playoff. Now they got beat by Notre Dame once they got there, but when they were playing, I mean, the best record in school history. They made the playoffs with this guy with a torn ACL. Imagine if he had a healthy ACL, you know?
Yeah, that's crazy. And then, like you said, you get NBA players that curl their ankle and they're out for 2 months. I mean, and then this guy going out here playing on his ACL, playing the rest of the season.
Yeah, it's funny to me that that he can play that, and like you said, you got these guys in the NBA, you know, like Joel Embiid's played 7 games all year long, and then Ricky Pearsall in the NFL gets shot in the chest and plays 10, 11 games all year. He's played more games, NFL games, than Joel Embiid has played all season long, or Zion Williamson. And, he got shot in the chest. You know? No, it's like Michael Thomas, the wide receiver for the Saints, you know, his toe hurt, so he's out all year because he had turf toe. This guy got shot in the chest. What are we doing? If he can play,
that would embarrass me.
That would me too.
That would embarrass me.
Man, you're playing for a paycheck at that point in time. And actually, you're not even playing.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're getting a paycheck.
That's what I was getting ready to say. Some of them just want to get a paycheck, and they don't care if they play or not. So, and Joel Embiid's one of them. He does not care if he plays another game this year.
No, he don't. And it's crazy to think that too, because you would think he would want to be. He won an MVP a couple years ago, but I think that Joker was the best player in the NBA that year. I think he's been the best player for the last few years.
I do too. He actually plays. He actually wants to play.
Yeah. He goes, works on the farm during the day, and he comes back and plays basketball at night. I mean, he looks like the guy that would play at the YMCA after, you know, driving the tractor all day, you know, in the wheat fields.
Yep.
And then he comes out and he plays basketball at the Y, and you're like, this guy ain't nothing. And all of a sudden, he's got a 50-piece on you with 25 rebounds and 7 assists. And it's like, man, I underestimated that guy.
Yeah.
You take a picture of Joker and you line him up with all these other basketball players, and you're like, tell me the best player in the league. And they're like, oh, well, it's got to be clearly this guy over here. He looks really athletic. I would say, LeBron, people be like, LeBron, and be like, you don't watch basketball. Like, that guy right there, the big, goofy, pudgy white guy, that's the best player in the NBA. That's the guy right there.
The one that don't look like he can walk and shoot guns at the same time. But
yeah. He dominates the basketball court, tell you.
Yep.
Well, that is like I said, that's our pick'ems for football. Now let's go into Joey's favorite sport right here. Let's talk a little college basketball, Joey. And on Tuesday night, we're going to talk Kentucky, Texas A&M. We're going to talk some Carolina, California, which is a conference game. And then, but I want to start with some of the SEC, and we'll start with the number one team in the land, Auburn. I thought Mississippi State was going to give Auburn a run for their money with Broome out. Well, boy, was I wrong. Auburn, the number one team, beat Mississippi State by 22 points without Broome. Joey, how scary is that for the rest of college basketball?
It's very scary because I was watching the game when he went out, and I'm like, oh boy, getting ready to be the number one team, and now they're all-star, all-Americans, out. I was like, this is going to be a big question mark. I knew they'd go on to win that game. And then it's like, oh man, you're playing Mississippi State. I'm like, oof. I mean, I was like, Mississippi State will put up a fight and probably just win the game. And then I was watching, and I'm like, oh boy, this is not good. If you're any other team besides Auburn, you got to be thinking in the back of your mind, they're going to be hard to beat. Chad Baker-Mazar, man, is they just got athletes, man, and Bruce Pearl knows how to get the most out of his athletes every time.
Yeah, Bruce Pearl, this is probably his best shot at winning a national championship by far and away, and he's been a good coach, and I think now he's got the team, and it's dangerous when you see him beating the top 15 team by that much without their best player, and it's like they didn't even miss a beat, and it's like, oh man, when he comes back, it's dangerous for everybody else. And do you think Auburn is the clear number one at this point in time?
Absolutely. I think they are the clear number one. I think they are the best team, the best overall team in the country from top to bottom.
Yeah, and I said before the season started, we were talking about SEC, how brutal it is, and I said, man, 12 wins may get you the SEC championship. I don't think that's the case now. I think Auburn's going to have a little bit more than 12 wins. I don't see 6 teams beating Auburn in the SEC, no matter how tough the SEC is, because that team is just on another level right now. Yes, and so you're – the rival for your school, the Duke Blue Devils, they beat Miami by 35 points. Man, Duke is looking pretty good here lately. Cooper Flagg and Knipple have been as advertised so far in this ACC play, man.
They have. And I know a lot of people were giving Jay Williams a lot of flack back about how the fans always say, well, how come every time they talk about Duke, they talk about Flagg. It's Cooper Flagg this, Cooper Flagg that. Well, why not? He is the focal point of that team. He probably is going to be a top 3 pick in the draft, maybe the top pick in the draft. Yeah. So far he's lived up to the hype. I mean, yeah. I mean, the kid's a great player. Don't get me wrong. He's tall. He can handle the ball. He can post up. He can shoot. I mean, that's scary when somebody's that tall and they can do everything. Usually you get a guy that's that tall. Okay, he's foul line and in. He shoots anywhere else. You're holding your breath. But yeah, he's good. We got to play him twice. I dread it.
We criticized him earlier in the year because we were like, man, this guy's not. He doesn't live up to the hype. Knipple's probably the better player. And I think he cost Duke the game against Kentucky when they played. He had 2 costly turnovers at the end. But, man, he's really coming into form now, and like you said, he's lived up to the hype. And he's really looking like the best player and one of the top picks in the draft. So, I mean, as bad as that is, we'll see how Carolina fares against him here in a couple weeks. But Duke's looking pretty good so far in the ACC, unfortunately. And then Tuesday, a top 25 upset, a top 5 upset. Ole Miss goes in to Alabama and beats Alabama by 10. Number 4 Alabama falls to Ole Miss. Joey, I was surprised by this result as well. Alabama at home. I know Ole Miss is good, but man, Alabama was supposed to be a top 5 team.
Yeah, well, they are a top 5 team, and I'm not. I mean, in my opinion, I think they're one of the 5 best, teams in the country. I know they're not, but it shocked me that they got beat that bad at home. On the road, I could maybe possibly see it in the SEC, but at home, I mean, Alabama though, I mean that shocked me. That was probably one of the most shocking scores I've seen besides the Auburn score without Brew.
Yeah, and one of the shocking things about that is Alabama only scored 64 points. They score a lot more than that when they play for the most part. I mean, they're usually in the 80s, 90s when they score and they win. But Ole Miss, I mean, like I said, this SEC's brutal. I mean, you just never know. Chris Beard's a good coach, and he's got Ole Miss going right now. I mean, they're going to be top 15 this week probably, most likely. After that, depending on what they do tomorrow, which is hard to tell because you never can tell in the SEC. Because also on Tuesday, the Missouri Tigers go into Florida and beat the Gators 83-82. Another surprising game, I thought.
Yeah, and I thought Florida is another one of them teams that have looked really good this year. Consistent, they can score inside. They got shooters, and that's another one that shocked me too. I'm like, man, that's when I was saying to myself, this SEC is just, you never know from night to night, man. It is, but it's going to help teams in the SEC because that's going to help you for March because you're already playing these high profile, dynamic, games that's got a tournament feel already to them. So it's going to help some of these younger kids.
And that's what's scary about the Auburn thing. Like when they get to the NCAA tournament, who are they going to be afraid of in the NCAA tournament? Nobody, because they've already went through a gauntlet to get there. And Missouri, they're better than what I thought they was because they they beat Kansas earlier in the year. And it's like, okay, well, I mean, that's whatever. They beat Kansas. We'll see how they do. Florida should be able to handle them. And they were up double digits on Florida. They let Florida come back and almost have a chance to win, but they get a win on the road, which is huge in conference to win on the road. And they did it.
Yeah.
And another little surprising one here. Not really surprising, but, man, Indiana, 94-69 lost to Illinois at home. Whoa. I thought Indiana basketball was back, according to people. What happened?
Yes. I mean, Indiana basketball, as you know, used to be on the map. But they haven't been relevant for a long time.
No.
And unless some things change, they just don't have the recruiting anymore. Nobody has the desire to go play there. So
no. Why would you?
Tough for them. Why would you anyway? So yeah.
Yeah, 30 years ago they could have been a blue blood too. I mean, they were considered a blue blood. Now I think there's only like 4, maybe 5 if you throw UConn in there. Blue bloods right now. It's Kentucky, Carolina, Kansas, Duke, and I'd probably throw UConn in there because they've at least the last 25 years. But man, Indiana, the fall that they've had, and all the people talking that you hear, hey, Indiana's back. We've got one of our guys coaching. We're back. And then you go and lose at home to Illinois, who, I mean, Illinois is decent, but are they 25 points better than you? I don't know. They shouldn't be. They shouldn't be, no. But they was. And another final from Tuesday night. This is the one here. Number 11 Texas A&M falls to number 8 Kentucky, 81-69. And Joey, Kentucky looked pretty good in this game. I think Jackson Robinson just taunted Buzz Williams again just now.
Yeah, Buzz Williams is still having nightmares about Jackson Robinson like right now. I loved it. I thought it was great. I mean, I know he got a technical. But like I told you, after that, he was kind of doing it nonchalantly. He was doing it without bringing attention to himself, and I loved it. But he was in Buzz Williams' head so bad, and it was great. But he did play well. Jackson Robinson did play phenomenal, so he kind of had a right to.
And that's back-to-back games he played well too. The
Mhm.
last game that they played before this one, he played well too. So that's two straight Mississippi State games. That's two straight games where he's played really well, and he's looked like the player that we thought he was at the beginning of the year. Now he's ran away and hit a few games, but man, when he plays well, Kentucky, you can just about mark it down. They're going to win the game because he's not had a good game where they've lost yet. But, yeah, the taunting thing over there and getting the technical, the bench was yelling at him. So how can they yell at him and you not expect him to say something back? I didn't get it. I mean, it's all in at least nobody's up punching or anything like that. I mean, as long as that's not happening, it's all in good fun, right? He used to play for Buzz Williams, so, I mean, there's got to be some sort of bad blood there. I don't think they ended on the best terms, it doesn't seem like. I don't know.
No, but and another thing too is like at the half, I seen Buzz Williams out there complaining again to the referee about him staring at him or looking at him, and I'm sitting here the whole time thinking, I'm like, you're a grown man, son, and this is a college kid playing on the team having fun. It's not like he just took a ball bat and swung at you. I mean, but if it was one of his players, it'd be fine. It'd be fine then.
Yeah, it'd be fine. It'd be no big deal or nothing like that. And that day I seen Mark Pope actually get all up in arms during that game. I mean, they panned over to him, and he said, "Oh, my gosh. He's getting wild out there now, son. Pope is getting wild."
Yeah, he's gonna have to chain him down, son. He's getting crazy.
You got chained down. He's out there dropping the OM gosh. I'll tell you what, it's wild in Lexington now, Pope. And another game on Tuesday night. A game that I may want to talk about here for just a second. Was it Tuesday night? It might have been Wednesday night. I can't remember which day it was. I'm looking right here. It's Tuesday night. Yes, it's right after Kentucky game. The Arkansas Razorbacks traveled to LSU to face the LSU Tigers, and Arkansas fell to 0-4 in the conference, losing to LSU. John Calipari is 0-4 at Arkansas in the SEC to start the season. At the end of the game, Arkansas was going up for a dunk, and former Kentucky Wildcat, former Calipari player Damian Collins seals it with a block. How poetic did that have to be for that kid? And, man, Arkansas, you guys were talking about getting a Hall of Fame coach, and Kentucky was crazy for getting rid of him, and that was a mistake. We're back now. Tyson Foods, we're going to pay for John Calipari and all this NIL, and you're sitting in the basement of the SEC.
Yes.
Fitting.
And not going to lie, I love every minute of it. And I think it would be funny if I would have started doing the series of every time that they lose to the team, do like the Stephen A. Smith, the whole camera pan.
Yes. I told you.
Yeah.
I told you.
I told you. That's kind of the feel I get because I ain't gonna lie. I don't know John Calipari obviously as a person on a personal level, but him as a coach, I've never liked him.
Yeah.
I've never cared much for his coaching style. Just the way he carries himself. I just never been a fan of it. So I'm loving it.
Yeah, from what I could tell, I mean, I guess he's a good guy and everything, which is fine. But his coaching and the way he talks about it afterwards, like he's like, I don't even know who we play next. I just know we play on the road. What? And then you go and get beat? Maybe you should do a little scouting. Maybe you should do a little homework. I mean, he's on his bench over there. You got him. You got Brad Calipari as a coach. You've got former Louisville coach Kenny Payne. We've seen how his head coaching career went, which, by the way, he was 2 seasons at Louisville, and Louisville current coach right now, just passed him in the all-time wins list on Louisville head coaching. So that should tell you all you need to know right there. We're not even halfway through the season yet.
Yeah.
But it's a mess down there in Arkansas, and I'm like you. I love every second of it because he didn't want to change with the times. He's stubborn, and now it's biting him.
Yep. I will keep up when Arkansas plays just so I can hope that somebody just beats them by 40 points. I would love it. And
then Wednesday, your North Carolina Tar Heels defeated California 53-79. Carolina goes to 12-6, 5-1 in the ACC. I still can't believe – it's still hard to believe that this was an ACC conference game right here, Joey.
Yeah, it's I still have to get used to it. Like I'll hear the announcer say it, and then in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, oh yeah, they are in the ACC now. Oh, but, Carolina's been playing pretty decent. We're on a 4-game winning streak, so we're starting to turn it around.
Playing decent since Ian Jackson has got more playing time. He's the star of the team, man. He's the best player right now as a freshman, and once he got going, they've gotten going, I think.
And I think there was 2 people on a particular podcast that said that Ian Jackson should start for Carolina. I'm not sure who them 2 guys was, but they're pretty smart.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they mentioned that. And ever since then, they have, and Carolina's on a winning streak. That's weird. It's strange how that works, isn't it?
Yeah, and like I say, man, I think Seth Trimble plays good off the bench. Seth Trimble plays good no matter what. If he starts, he comes off the bench, doesn't matter. He's going to play defense. He's going to do his thing. Doesn't matter. And he's an older guy. He don't care. You know what I mean? He just wants to win. Yep. That's all he wants to do is win. And Ian Jackson is a stud, man. I'm telling you, his stock is going up and up and up.
Yeah, he may not be at Carolina next year. He may be a one-and-doner the way he's playing.
Yep. Unless
I know you don't want to hear that, but
well, it's true though, and you never know. Some of these kids, they may get together and say, hey, we had some things we didn't accomplish last year, and we want to come back for one more year and accomplish it. So you never know, but it's very unlikely if he keeps playing like this that he'll be in Carolina uniform next year.
And it probably all depends on where he's supposed to go in the draft, whether he stays or not. Because, I mean, if he's a late first rounder, he may be better off coming back. You're getting NIL money at that time. So go ahead and get that money and then improve your stock next year. That could be a possibility too.
Yep, that's what I would do if I was in their shoes.
That's what I would do too.
Would look at my draft projection, see where I'm projected, and if it's not good enough to get me a guaranteed contract, then I'm just going to come back to school, make the NIL money, get the guaranteed contract next year.
Yeah, and so we're going to go look at Saturday now. We're going to preview Kentucky, Alabama. Big one in Rupp. Alabama coming off of that loss the other night to Ole Miss. Kentucky coming off of a win at Texas A&M at home. Got number 4 Alabama rolling into town. 12 o'clock tomorrow on ESPN. Joey, how do you feel about this game right here? Because I'm telling you, I think it's going to be a good game. I was kind of hoping Alabama would have won the other day. That way, they're not looking for back-to-back losses. But, hey, they come into Rupp, and if Kentucky can do to them what they did last year. Kentucky destroyed Alabama last year in the season by outplaying Alabama on their style. And, Alabama likes to get up and down. I don't think Kentucky minds getting up and down. Kentucky don't like to get physical, and Alabama's not a physical team. What do you think about this one, Joey?
I think it's going to be a good game. I honestly think Kentucky's going to win the game because Kentucky's just built different at Rupp. But I don't see Alabama having a second bad game in a row like that. I think it's going to be a pretty good game. I think Alabama is going to play much better. But yeah, I'm giving the edge to Kentucky, man. They've proved it all year, man. They're yeah, I'm just going with them. I think they're going to win.
Yeah, and you said that you think that they're going to get it rolling in this one. I think they will too. I think that this game is probably going to be in the 90s. We may get into triple digits, both teams. I mean, that's very possible with these two teams, especially if their shots are falling. You know, if you get Kobe Bryant to hit some shots, Oway hitting shots, Robinson hitting shots like he has been. Almanor was hitting some the other day. Travis Perry come in and hit some shots for Kentucky. If the shots start falling on that end and then they start falling on the other end, I mean, we could be looking at a game that's just up and down all day. And I'm for it. I'll be fine with it. We'll see, though. You got on one side, you got Mark Sears. You got Babyface Nelson. Well, he tries not to be Babyface, but Grant Nelson. Those are the top two guys to worry about for Alabama. Those are your two leading scorers right there. Mark Sears is by far the leading scorer on that team. But, you know, 3-point shooting wise, you got Wright Sell. He's 42% on the year. And Alabama likes the three ball, so we'll see how it goes there. But I think Kentucky will win this game. I feel pretty good about them. Like you said, at Rupp, too. And then for Kentucky, you got Otega Oway, who scores 10 points every game, at least.
Yes.
What was you saying, the main thing?
The main thing I think Kentucky has to do in this game is run Alabama off the three-point line. You know, don't go under the screen. You know, you go under the screen, Mark Sears, all he needs is just a slither of daylight, and it's over.
Mm-hmm.
They close out, run them off the three-point line, make them make tough twos. I think they're going to win pretty easily.
Well, I think if he doesn't stay on the floor, and I mean literally on the floor, busting up a lip, an elbow, a hip, a head, shoulder, knees, and toes, Lamont Butler will guard Mark Sears, and I feel pretty good about him keeping him at bay because, I mean, that's a bulldog right out there, Butler. And I feel pretty good if he's guarding Sears. Sears is their big, you know, 5th-year, 6-year senior, and he's their best player. I would want my best defender on him. Like you said, keep him off the three-point line there. But you also got to watch Nelson. He likes to step out and shoot threes every once in a while. And I don't know if we put Andrew Carr on him and have him to guard him out there or not, but Andrew Carr is kind of dealing with a back issue right now. But I don't know. I don't think I would trust Amari Williams. He don't put his arms up on defense, so I wouldn't trust him out there on a three-point shooter. So I don't know who you would guard Nelson out there with. Maybe Jackson Robinson? Maybe.
Well, it would have to be. If not, I mean, Amari Williams would. I mean, I could see Grant Nelson, you know, shot fake and get around Amari Williams pretty easy. It would have to be Carr or I don't know. It would have to be Carr or Jackson Robinson. One is going to have to deal with him.
Yeah, because even when Brandon Garrison comes in, I mean, he's not the best out there either. You don't want him out there. We don't have a Willie Cauley-Stein that can guard all 5 positions like he did when he was in college. You know, we don't have that. But I feel pretty good if we've got Lamont Butler on Sears for sure. But the Nelson one, it might be a matchup that's in favor of them. But it should be a good game, though. I'm looking forward to it. High tide's what they say in Alabama, so I'm going to say go Cats, but, you know.
High tide.
High tide. And then after that, Kentucky's off for a week, so they get a whole week off, and then they play Vandy next week, and then it's Tennessee. So if you can get this game right here, you can hold serve at home. I think Vandy's a weird place to play, man, because the benches are underneath the basket. None of these guys have played at Vandy, so they're not used to that yet. So it's going to be different for them, but I feel like you can win that game right there. And Tennessee's beatable, but it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough down there in whatever they call that arena now. It used to be Thompson Bowling Arena. But it's going to be tough going down there. But if you can win tomorrow, hold serve at home, beat Vandy, you could afford to maybe drop one if it happens. I'd rather them not, but it wouldn't be the worst thing if that happened.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely got to hold serve and keep, protect home court. That means a lot, especially early in the year.
And speaking of protecting home court, tomorrow at 2:15 on the CW network, Stanford Cardinal come into Chapel Hill to face Carolina Tar Heels. Joey, how does Carolina get all these California teams to come to their place and they don't have to go to California? What's up with that?
That's what I was wondering when they played California. I'm like, and now Stanford's like, y'all take it though.
I would too.
Just still hard to believe that this is a conference game.
No kidding. And ACC's got some sort of deal where they're on CW every once in a while, right? They have to, because I'm like, CW? I forget I even have CW sometimes. Then you look and you're like, oh, okay, they're playing on CW.
Yep, I do too until college basketball season.
Do you feel good about their chances tomorrow of winning against Stanford?
Yeah, it is. As long as they don't come out and dig themselves a hole. They haven't done that in the past, 4 games. They've, there for a while they'd come out and they dig like a 15-point hole in the first half, and it's like, oh my God, guys, now we got to expend all this energy, trying to come back, and then you get these young guys who, get down by 15, 18 points. They think you got to get it all back in 2 possessions. So it's like, trying to jack up threes, and that's, it's not how you make a comeback. But yeah, I like Carolina's chances. I think they'll be all right. Ian Jackson will get it rolling again. He's been rolling and he ain't stopped, so I don't see him stopping now.
Yeah, and this is at home. When it's Stanford, it's their first time coming into Chapel Hill I don't know if they've ever played before there, but first time as a member of the ACC coming in Chapel Hill. I feel like Carolina will hold serve there at home. And looking at Carolina's schedule coming up, I mean, they play one more ranked team, but they play them twice the rest of the season. But that could change. Wake Forest, that may be a tough game at Wake Forest. Wake Forest is a decent team, I think. Mm-hmm. And then at Clemson, that's going to be tough. I know that'll be a tough game right there.
Yeah, that is going to be a tough one.
And then Duke and at home, both is going to be tough games just because of the rivalry right there between the two.
And it's always a close game. Doesn't matter how much better one team is than the other. It seems to be always competitive.
But overall, I mean, Carolina's got a pretty favorable schedule for the rest of the way to get them, a pretty good seed going into the tournament, a decent seed. I'm not sure right now where they have them at seed-wise. Do you know, Joey, have you seen any bracketologies or anything? I have not checked on any lately.
I haven't checked on any, and you're probably the same as me. I usually don't, get into – well, I mean, if I see it pop up, I might look at it, but I don't go searching for it this early. But, I'll just be happy if Carolina makes the tournament. Yeah, I'll be happy if they finish the year off solid and, don't have an embarrassing year, make the tournament, win the first round game, win the second round game, just have a average year, and then, because it wasn't looking good early in the year.
So right now, and this is kind of interesting right now, it's fun. I like the bracketology stuff because Lenardi doesn't really know. I mean, he usually gets the teams right, but where they're placed at, he really doesn't. I like the bracketology better than the rankings. I think the rankings are just whatever at this point in time. I mean, we can all clearly see Auburn is number 1, and then after that, you got Duke at number 3. They got 2 losses. One of those is to Kentucky. Kentucky's number 8. How come they're not ahead of them? Kentucky beat Florida. Florida's ahead of Kentucky. What's going on here? Anyways, that's why I think the rankings are just crazy at this point in time, and I know you agree with me on that. But the brackets are fun. Brackets are fun to see. So I'm looking up Lenardi right now on his bracketology, and he has in the Lexington region, number 1 Auburn playing Morehead State. Morehead State would be getting a home game right there. Basically, I mean, in Lexington, it won't matter, but I mean, and Broom's going against his old team, so I mean, that would be interesting too, right there, right?
It would be.
And then the 8-9 matchup, he's got West Virginia and North Carolina. If I'm you, I don't like that. I don't like that right there.
I don't like it. I don't like 8-9 matchups at all. That's the worst spot you could be in.
Well, that and if you get by that in the next round, you've got the best team in the nation in the second round. So this is why I like Carolina's got a favorable schedule. If they could just win, most of their games coming up here, they could bump up from that 9 and get out of that spot right there, because that's not a good spot to be in right there.
No, just do enough to bump yourself up to maybe a 5, something like that.
And the number 2 seed in that region right now, they have the Kentucky Wildcats. And I'm like,
oh boy,
what happened to you can't have the same excuse me, a team from the same conference be 1, 2, 3, or 4 in the same bracket? That's breaking that right there.
Mm-hmm.
You got Auburn SEC
weird.
team, Kentucky an SEC team, 1 and 2. How are we doing that?
Yeah, I'm not a fan of that. I like to mix it up a little bit.
Like I said, he's not going to be correct on where they go, but it's fun to look at right now. And Kentucky a 2 seed in the same region with Auburn and Carolina, and Kansas is in that. Kansas is in that. Michigan, Gonzaga, all in that bracket, and it's like, okay, great.
Oh my.
Yeah. And then over here you got number 1 Duke in this region, and 2 Florida, 3 Michigan State, 4 Texas A&M, and 5 UConn.
That's probably how to go on that side, because, especially with Duke, it seems like they get a path, paved for them usually every year.
Yep. And out west, they got Tennessee as a 1 seed, Marquette as a 2, and I'm gonna tell you right now, Marquette ain't winning nothing. Sorry. That's my thoughts. Shaka Smart thought he was a really good coach back in VCU. He was. Then he went to Texas. And maybe he's not so good. He'll win some games in the Big East. They'll look good and everything. But when tournament rolls around, they ain't winning nothing. I'll tell you that.
I agree.
That's my opinion.
I agree.
And then they got Oregon a 3 seed, Houston a 4 seed, Mississippi State a 5 seed. The Midwest, Iowa State's the 1 seed, Alabama's the 2 seed, Illinois is the 3 seed, Purdue's the 4 seed, Ole Miss is the 5 seed. That by far is the weakest bracket right there, if you ask me.
Yep.
Like you look at the region they got Kentucky and Carolina in right now. That's the toughest. Mm-hmm. I mean, you're going to have to, whoever comes out of that's going to have to earn it. Then you go to the Midwest and you're like, Iowa State's the 1. I mean, I know they beat Kansas the other day, but they struggled to beat Texas Tech. Iowa State ain't winning a championship either. I'll tell you that right now, too. That ain't happening. And then Alabama, I mean, okay, Alabama's good, whatever. And then Illinois, I mean, you beat Indiana. Yeah. Purdue, do I have to say any more?
What do we got to do to get in that region?
No kidding. Like, would you rather be an 8-9 seed in Iowa State's region or Auburn's region? I'll tell you what I'm taking right now.
All day.
I'm pretty sure you could knock out Iowa State in the second round.
Yeah. But Auburn, I don't know.
Auburn's going to be a different story. But, yeah, it's fun to look at the bracketology there just to see where everybody's at right now. But they've got both of them in the tournament right now, both our teams, which, we'll see how it goes. That SEC's brutal. The ACC's, manageable this year. It is.
Yeah. It's not real tough.
No.
I mean, you got situations where it can be, like playing at Clemson or playing at Duke.
At Wake Forest.
At Wake Forest, yeah.
Yeah, there's still tough games on the schedule, but there's more favorable than not. Yeah, not like the SEC. Saturday, like tomorrow, they got Stanford, so that should be, an easy game. But like you said, if they do like they did the other day against California, they don't come out and sleepwalk. Games are a lot better for them, I don't know.
Yeah, just come out and punch a team right in the mouth right off the bat, and things usually goes your way after that.
Yeah, man, we've got one more day of football, college football this year, and it's over. And then we are full throttle basketball on here, college basketball. And man, you got anything else, man?
No, no, it's been fun. I always love talking sports, especially basketball and football. Uh, can't wait for that national championship game and get to watch some good college basketball tomorrow. It's gonna be two pretty good days.
Yeah, and hopefully Kentucky wins tomorrow, and that way when we talk next week on the podcast, because Kentucky don't have a midweek game, so they'd have to go a whole week before they play again. Hopefully they get the win. They're feeling pretty good going into next week's game at Vandy. And we'll talk about it next week, and we'll talk about Carolina's week and all that stuff. And we'll see you all later.